stay the course. The SOE reforms, there are 24 SOEs which have been handed over to the Privatization Commission. This is one area where we did not do well last year, because it's also important to acknowledge where we do need to do more. So under the leadership of Advisor Muhammad Ali Saab, we are going to, accelerate that whole discussion. And as you know, PIA as a transaction has been relaunched. And we are very hopeful, inshallah, we will see it through the finishing line this time around. And then there are 3 discos. There are some FIs and other institutions which are now with the Privatization Commission. And I'm sure you'll see traction on that front as well. Then on the public finance side, it's very important that jo bhi hum kar rahe hain, right sizing of the federal government, we are taking it in waves rather than a big bang approach. We will continue on that journey. Pension की बड़ी बात होती है, लोग भूल जाते हैं कि in the civil bureaucracy, as of July 1 of last year, every new colleague who's joining is on defined contribution. Because people say, where is the pension reform? Well, here is, we still have to deal with the stock, but we've at least stopped the bleeding. और इसी तरह काम शुरू होता है कि ब्लीडिंग ख़त्म करें और फिर स्टॉक को उसको कोशिश करें कि उसको कैसे मैनेज किया जाए. On the debt service side, that is the single largest expense item. पहली बात तो ये है कि गवर्नमेंट को अपना फिस्कल डिसिप्लिन लाना है. फिस्कल डिसिप्लिन आएगा, बोरिंग कम होगी, डेट सर्विसिंग कम होगी. So it starts with us. And we are doing our level best. In this fiscal year, our debt servicing cost has gone down by ₹1 trillion. And next year, what we are going to do, inshallah, is to restructure and reorganize our debt management office along modern lines in terms of international best practices, जो हमें बहुत पहले और बहुत अरसा पहले कर लेना चाहिए था. But it's never too late to just keep on saying कि जी ये हमें inherit हो गया, अब इसका क्या करें. So उसका एक तो वो हम उसको करेंगे. We are looking at various models in terms of front office, middle office, back office, and how we, as I said, organize the debt management office along modern lines. And the other thing is to see how we create the alpha. ये थोड़ा सा technical term है, which is fine. आप सारे technical लोग हैं, इसलिए अगर एक policy rate नीचे होता है और उसी के हिसाब से डेट सर्विसिंग नीचे चली जाती है, तो उसका मेरा या किसी और होने का वहाँ कोई भी यहाँ बैठ सकता है, कोई भी बैठ सकता है. So unless we add value by creating alpha, that's where the debt management office comes in, that's where the finance ministry comes in. And we are very determined, inshallah, that we move in that direction during the next fiscal year. देखिए ये वो सारी चीज़ें हैं in terms of the structural reforms which puts us and our economy on a path of sustainable growth. और उसमें जो सारी export led की discussion हो रही है, that's very important because that is where fundamentally the DNA of the economy has to change, and therefore we are going to bring some bold measures during the budget. Because budget is not just about revenue and expenditure. Budget has to be providing the strategic direction of where the economy is and where it is headed. Not only about next year, but at least signaling where we want to go as an economy. तो हमारी पूरी कोशिश है कि इस डॉक्यूमेंट को हम इस दफ़ा थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा strategic बनाएं rather than making the math work. Of course we have to make the math work, right? वो तो होना ही होना है. लेकिन उसकी जो strategic direction है कि हम जा किस सर पे रहे हैं, वो उसको बीच में इनकैप्सुलेट करना बहुत ज़रूरी होगा. देखिए ये सारी चीज़ें जो मैंने अभी बात की है, this inshallah will put us on good stead over in the coming years. But जो मुल्क का potential है, जो आप सब बातें भी करते हैं, वर्ल्ड बैंक की भी रिपोर्ट है कि 2047 तक चलिए अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह हमारी इकॉनमी $400 बिलियन तो टापी ना, तो अच्छा, I think it's in the right going in the right direction because we were still talking about $300 billion plus economy. So I think that in itself is good news. But if we have to go towards a $3 trillion economy by the time we get to be 100, उसमें दो existential issues हैं. दो existential issues हैं. Population and climate. If we continue to grow at 2.55%, it's going to be very difficult. अगर 25 करोड़ आवाम से जो हमारे मसाइल हैं, आपके मसाइल हैं, उनमें हमारे लिए बहुत इश्यूज़ हैं, Just imagine if we get to 300 or whatever the projection is, कि 400 की ये population हो जाएगी by the time we get to 2050. Can you imagine? So that's one. And then the climate. So climate is not only episodic stuff and the sad and devastating floods of 2022. All of us who are in Islamabad and other, ये जो रोज झकड़ चल रहे हैं और जालाबारी हो रही है, we are living it day in and day out. You don't have to look at episodic events, खुदा ना खास्ता. So this is all climate change. So it's in that respect, and that will bring me to the topic at hand, कि when we prioritize as a government, कि जब हमने World Bank से बात की, and I'm very grateful to President Ajay Banga and और IMF से बात की, equally grateful to MD Kristalina, कि इस दफ़ा जो हम issues आपके पास लेकर आ रहे हैं, of course we still need infrastructure and we need infrastructural support. हमें चीज़ें करनी हैं, हमें power plants भी हैं और road infrastructure भी है, port infrastructure भी है. But if we don't address the human capital, and if we don't address the climate part of it, at least in terms of beginning to move towards adaptation financing, we're not going to get there. So the 10-year country partnership framework that we signed with the World Bank on 15th of January, 4 out of the 6 points deal with climate and population. On the population side, उसको और थोड़ा सा हम उसको granular लेकर आए हैं in terms of learning poverty, in terms of girls and women out of school, young women out of school. And the second thing is child stunting. So children under the age of 5, 40% of them stunted. Just imagine, just think about it. All of us are going to fade away. That's the leadership of this country. And if 40% is in that state, how can we move forward? How can we get talking about $1 trillion and $3 trillion? तो इसलिए हमने उसको इस दफ़ा प्रायोरिटाइज किया कि हमें जो फंडिंग चाहिए, and this is not small. The 10-year country partnership framework is going to be $20 billion. And on the back of that, whatever IFC is going to do on the private sector side. And similarly, ये जो अभी 2 हफ्ते पहले हुआ है, and of course, these are very tense moments. Our armed forces and political leadership, the way they stood up against the aggression, the entire nation has celebrated it, and rightly so. But at the same time, there was no stone left unturned in terms of ensuring that the meeting does not happen. If the meeting does happen, then these items are not on the agenda. Whether it's the second tranche under the EFF and the RSF of $1.3 billion in terms of our climate resilience facility. But alhamdulillah, we are beyond that. और हमारा केस जो है वो मेरिट पे डिस्कस हुआ, मेरिट पे डिसाइड हुआ. तो आई थिंक इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि अब हमने इन चीज़ों को प्रायोरिटाइज किया है. एंड द वर्ल्ड अंडरस्टैंड्स इट दैट द कंट्री नीड्स this in terms of the human capital and the climate benefit. Now that's where all of you come in, because I think we have once again centers of excellence in verticals. इस मुल्क की जो corporate philanthropy है वो कमाल की है. Health and education in number of ways is because of the corporate philanthropy. There's no two ways about it. और हम खुल के देते हैं और इन causes को support करते हैं. इसी तरह there are various other areas इसमें जो commercial banks भी कर रहे हैं, जो DFIs कर रहे हैं, in the NBFI space, they're all doing whatever you are doing, and I would say keep on doing, right? Because everything matters. But the reality is what? और फिर जो government है वो भी allocate करती है, the social protection program, because when people go below the poverty line, this year as well, the Benazir Income Support Program will see a large delta as we go into the next fiscal year. So all of us are contributing in our own ways. The issue that I see since the time that the Prime Minister has formed this task force, and I'm very grateful, first of all, to organize this. I'm very grateful to you, sir, for being here and providing this training. I wish I could sit in some of these training sessions, but you know, there are other pressing matters which I have to attend to, but I would have loved to. But Adnan is here, he will, and other colleagues are here who will brief me. The issue is in many, like many other efforts, while we do a lot of things in verticals, we don't go horizontal. And if we don't go horizontal, we are not able to scale it up. Issue हमारा है scaling up का, क्योंकि कई मैंने जब ये अभी 3-4 इसके sessions हो चुके हैं, and what I've seen is, you know, everyone comes, presents their bit, and their bit actually looks all very good. In certain instances, we are grateful to some of our partners who have provided us funding, financing, technical support for interventions. And those have been very good interventions. उसमें कुछ ये भी था कि एक intervention तो बड़ी अच्छी थी, because उसमें फिर बाद में we were also told what impact it made in terms of getting some of those people out of the poverty line and getting into self-sufficiency mode. But two things. One, the population, as you know, it's fine, the intervention was very successful, but the population itself, वो बिल्कुल ऐसी थी कि you compare it to 240 million people, or you compare it to people who are below the poverty line, you know, it's not going to make a difference. That's one. Secondly, जब मैंने पूछा कि जब इसको हम आगे कैसे लेके जाना है, इसको अब scale up कैसे करना है, तो there was no answer. Because ये तो हमें funding मिली थी, वो funding ख़त्म हो गई, बड़ा अच्छा काम हो गया, हमने उनको report कर दिया. But that's not how, you know, we are going to get out of this this whole discussion. So I don't know the content of your training, but from my perspective, first of all, if we can bring all of these efforts together, not in terms of me doing their work and they're doing my work. In certain instances, if their DFI is represented here, for some of them, it's very simple. They have to go back to their core function. Not commercial lending, not lending to the Treasury and the government of Pakistan and making risk-free returns, but to do what they are supposed to do in terms of their raison d'etre and their core function. And I've had meetings late last year with their managements and obviously the sponsors, both the government of Pakistan and our friendly countries who have very kindly joined hands with us in that arena. But they have to go back to their core functionality. It's as simple as that. And it's like saying everyone in this country should pay taxes, right? Because otherwise, I see Mr. Shivaz Rana sitting here. He's not going to, like the whole discussion around the salaried class. And if we go back to the salaried class, the same for more, right? So, and he's right. He's right. So therefore, you know, we have to ensure that whoever is supposed to do and whatever they're supposed to do, they do it, because that's how societies come together. And the way we have come together, as I said, around this unfounded aggression and the unity that the nation has shown, we want the same unity on the economic front. I'm pleading for the same unity on the economic front. If we are going to go forward, inshallah, and become part of Committee of Nations. So I think one is how we work together with each other, because going horizontally, and while there are interdependencies, let's think through those interdependencies between the private sector, the government sector, NBFIs, corporate philanthropy, etc. And the second thing is, and I do, just flicking through some of your curriculum, that it's going to be impact-led. Because I think it's very important that when we are at a design phase, it's at that point in time, we are very clear what are going to be the outputs, because those outputs and the KPIs are then ultimately going to determine determine the impact. And if we don't have the impact, and if we don't have the impact at scale, we will still be suboptimal in terms of the efforts that we are making. I wish everyone all the very best for the next couple of days. I look forward to seeing the results of this workshop. Mr. McElvey, I'm very, again, indebted to you to bring international best practices here and what we can learn and how we can sort of take this discussion forward. Vikas on Karandas and Salim Raza Sahab, we are working with you on number of measures, number of initiatives. We remain very grateful to you and the Gates Foundation. I met them in Washington and expressed my gratitude there as well, because funding is one part of it, but the technical support. And I keep on saying that what we need in this country is capacity building. Financing, as a finance minister, I can never be complacent about financing, but it's all about capacity building, coming up with investable, bankable projects on the investment side, and creating the right roadmap and incentivization schemes for all our players to take social impact financing forward. Once again, thank you, Ji.